Hi, and welcome back to another RAPS session, which stands for Raising Awareness for Parents and Students. My name's Allison, and today's topic is coping, not covering. We're going to talk about how to cope with things like stress and anxiety, rather than covering them up with things like alcohol and other substances. So we picked this topic for a number of reasons. One, we know that stress and anxiety is at an all-time high, especially with teenagers. But we also know that substance use is becoming a growing problem in our community. And we want to talk about how the two mix and how we need to stay away from substances when it comes to things like anxiety and stress. So staying healthy in mind and body is essential. Taking care of ourselves can help us to simply get through the day or grow and thrive in whatever situation we're dealing with. So what is self-care? Why should I do it? Is it a new thing? It feels like everybody's talking about it. So it's actually not a new thing. It's been around for quite a while. It's just becoming more popular and more people are talking about it, which is a good thing because self-care can be very important. You've probably been doing self-care for years and not even realized it, because self-care is simply doing activities that you enjoy doing that help your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So healthy activities that you do to improve your health. So what is coping? Coping is dealing with or trying to overcome stress and anxiety. And they're intermingled because you can cope through self-care, and self-care can help you cope with anxiety. So why do we need to practice self-care? Is it really effective? Our well-being is important, no matter what's going on in the world around us. Okay? We can't control everything. We can't control the world. We can't control, other people. We can't control what's posted. But we can control ourselves, and we can control our reactions to things, and we can control how we treat ourselves, which is a big deal. So our well-being is super important, and we want to make sure we take the best care of ourselves we can. So self-care helps us to better manage stress and allows us to be more productive and have a better work-life balance. So even if your work is just going to school, it can help us balance that, because school can be stressful. Tests, quizzes, grades, maybe you're trying to get into a college. All that can be super stressful. Maybe friendships aren't what they used to be for you. All that can add to stress, and self-care can help us manage that. So when self-care is talked about, a lot of times it's talked about with mental self-care, but there's lots of different elements of self-care that we need to think about. So there's mental, which is tending to your mind by practicing mindfulness. There's emotional, which is staying in touch and fully engaged with your emotions. There's physical, which is tending to your physical body and keeping it healthy. There's social, staying connected to family and friends. And we're going to go through each one and explain how we can use self-care in each of these subjects. So, mental self-care is taking care of our minds, setting a routine or schedule and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do throughout the day. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Having even some flexibility in there in case things change, but setting a schedule or a routine can definitely help anxiety. Taking breaks from technology. Technology is a main culprit of most of people's anxiety when we don't even realize it. It's constantly with us. There's things, alerts are constantly going off. We're more connected than any other generation has ever been. We don't just know what goes on in our small town or in our state or in our country. We know about all the things that go on in all the small towns in all the countries all the time. Okay? So it can be very stressful. So taking technology breaks, decompressing, putting the phone away for a few minutes, even if it's just a small break. Okay, so not having technology around us constantly. Practicing mindfulness, and to take the time for mentally relaxing activities and to stimulate your creativity. So being mindful, the saying is basically, we want you to be mindful and have your mind not be full. Okay, kind of confusing, but we don't want your minds to be full of, I have to do this or I have that do. Okay, being mindful is basically emptying your mind. So if I was trying to be mindful right now, I would say, okay, I see my computer, I hear the AC on, things like that. Staying in my present moment, not thinking about the 17 things I have to do after this or what I have to get done tomorrow, but staying right now, focusing on what I'm doing. Okay. And then mentally relaxing activities can, be deep breathing. Creativity is whatever you like to do. If you like to write poetry, writing poetry. If you like to write music, if you like to rap, if you like to paint, if you like to go do, sports, if you like to dance, all that would be considered your creativity and doing those types of things. Self-care also means being patient and kind with yourself. So I'm going to repeat that. Being kind and patient to yourself. It's very easy for a lot of us to be nice to other people, but it can be very hard to be nice to ourselves, right? So think about it like this. I once had someone tell me, if your friend was in that situation, what would you tell them? And I was like, I would tell them that they got it and that they can do anything they put their minds to. And they said, then why wouldn't you tell yourself that? Kind of blows your mind there for a minute, huh? Like, oh, if I'm being so nice to other people, why is it so hard to be nice for myself? Why do I have to be so critical of myself? So remembering that and knowing that if you are struggling and you feel like you are having the worst anxiety of your life, or you feel so stressed you don't know how you're going to make it through the day, take a deep breath and be nice to yourself and say, it's okay. I'm trying my best. And I might be struggling right now, but I can get through it and it's going to be okay. So being just as nice to yourself as you would be to your best friend, to your sibling, okay, to someone that you like. Be that person for yourself, okay? I know it can be hard to do, but trust me, it's worth it to try to be nice to yourself and give yourself a break and say, I struggled today and it's okay. So self-care is something we enjoy doing, not something we're forced to do. So schoolwork probably wouldn't be considered self-care if you don't like doing schoolwork, if you feel forced to do it. Self-care is something we enjoy doing, right? So maybe it's, going outside and going for a walk. Maybe it's, taking a shower and just relaxing in there for a little bit. Self-care practices can look different for everyone. It's not going to look the same for you and your best friend or for you and your brother. Okay? For some, it might just be sitting still for a while. It might be you come home from school, you put your headphones on, you listen to a podcast. You listen to some music. Okay? Maybe you take a nap. That can be self-care for some people. Other people, they might need to, go for a run, go work out. That might be theirs. It all depends. The picture has someone playing video games. That might be their self-care. A way to decompress from the day and say, you know what? I had a stressful day and it's okay. I made it through. Okay. The main idea is to engage in activity that recharges you, re-energizes you, and makes you feel like I can get up and do this again tomorrow. Okay? So emotional self-care is acknowledging your feelings and know that they are valid. Okay? Your feelings are valid. Everyone feels things. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be mad and angry. It's okay to be scared. All those emotions that you feel sometimes are very valid. Okay? Everyone gets scared. Everyone gets anxious. Everyone gets mad. Okay? It's completely normal. And there's no reason you should suppress that feeling. You should acknowledge that feeling and say, okay, don't lash out, but say, okay, I'm angry. What has made me angry? Why did it make me angry? How can I handle this anger? Okay? Write it down in a journal. Write down, okay, today this went on. I am feeling this way. Talk to someone about it. Someone you trust. Talk through the emotions. Hey, this is what's going on in my life. I don't know how to handle it, but this is what I'm feeling. Maybe get their opinion. Maybe they can help you, work through that emotion. But also practicing gratitude can be very important. Think of 3 things you're grateful for in a day. Because if we focus on the positive, it's a lot easier to make it through a stressful day than if you focus on the negative. So you can be thankful for super deep things like, I'm thankful I have family. I'm thankful I have people who love and care about me. I'm thankful I have a safe place to sleep at night. It might not be that deep. Maybe you're thankful that the ice cream machine at McDonald's worked today when you went to get ice cream. Or you're thankful that your math teacher didn't give you homework. Okay? Anything that made you go, all right, today wasn't completely bad. I liked that part of today. 3 things. If you can list more, list more. That's great. But focusing on what went good today instead of what went wrong today. Physical self-care. This is the easiest and the hardest all at the same time because we know how to take care of ourselves physically. Okay, we have been taught this for years, but it's also a little harder to do because it's not as fun. So, getting enough sleep at night. Yeah, tough one, right? So, keeping like a bedtime schedule or a nighttime routine to give your body time to rest and recover for the next day. So, having, some steps put in place as to, okay, if you shower at night, I shower, I brush my teeth, I put my phone on charge. I lock the door, or I let the dog out one more time. Whatever your routine looks like, and having those steps in order. So by the time you get to like the last step, your body's like, okay, I know what this means. It means it's time to go to sleep. It will be easier to fall asleep. Okay. Putting your phone away. Okay. Phones keep us up on purpose. They are made to keep us awake. That blue light back there is made to keep you scrolling. So when you say 5 more minutes and it's 2 hours later, okay, that's what it's trying to do. So putting our phones away before bed. I know it's supposed to be like 30 minutes. I'm not saying start with 30 minutes. I'm saying maybe start with 5 and slowly progress to 30 if you can, because it will make a world of difference and you'll probably get a lot better sleep at night if that thing is not, like this right before you go to bed. Eating well and eating healthy can be very important. Nourishing our body, making sure they get the food they need and not just chips and candy all the time. Making sure we have some protein, some vegetables, some fruits. That's very important because when our physical bodies feel better, it helps our mental health as well. And keeping hydrated. Drink water. It's easy to reach for the soda or the coffee or, a Gatorade. Whatever drink is not water that you enjoy, we need to drink more water. All of us, myself included. Water, water, water. It will actually help because our bodies are made to, our bodies were made to drink water all the time. But like I said, it's easier to reach for the other things. But adding more water to your diet will really help. And then exercise regularly. Once again, I know not everyone's favorite. This says to set aside at least 30 minutes to work out or simply move your body. So for a long time, I was with a lot of people where I thought working out meant I had to actually work out and lift weights and things. And I was like, not that person. But it doesn't. Working out can simply mean you walk to the mailbox, you walk the dog, you have a dance party in your bedroom, you go play a sport for 30 minutes, football, basketball, maybe you ride a bike, whatever you can do to get your body up and moving and not just laying around, okay? Because that will help our bodies, and getting our bodies moving also helps our mental health. All right, social self-care. Now, social self-care has been one of the most affected ones along with mental in the last couple of years, especially with COVID, because it was hard to connect with people. But the good thing is, this is when technology plays a good role, is that we are more connected than any other generation before us. So you do have the ability to text, call, FaceTime, and stay connected with people, play games with them online, and things like that. So maintaining connections, reaching out to friends and family members just to check in, because you would want that done to you. So by doing it to other people, okay, it'll kind of spread and everyone will be checking in on everyone. Okay, so it can be very helpful to do that stuff. And maybe you're experiencing some anxiety around trying to make friends, or you feel like you lost some friends during COVID, or maybe you're just stressed to go out, okay, because we were kind of locked down for so long and now things are open and it's like, I don't know how I feel about being in a big group of people. It's okay, right? Baby steps. Maybe you start with texting and then a FaceTime and then you meet up with a handful of people, or maybe just one or two, and you slowly ease yourself back into being more social, okay? But being social is a big part of this. Having friends, having family, having people that you can talk to when you are struggling is a big deal. You can also think of self-care as taking care of yourself so you can better take care of others, right? I know there's teenagers out there that have elderly grandparents that you help out with. You have, younger siblings you help take care of. Maybe your parents you help take care of. It can be a lot, okay? But making sure you make time for your self-care, because you can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. If you only give yourself 80%, you can't give 100% to anything. So you have to give 100% to yourself first and make sure you are at the top of your game so you can help other people. Okay? So making sure you do, if you feel burnout, if you feel stressed, you handle that, because you will be better off handling it and being able to help others after. Sometimes we need help. Sometimes it's reversed. Sometimes we're the person that needs assistance. Okay? Life can throw a lot at us. It can be very overwhelming. Maybe what was working coping wise isn't working anymore. You've tried some of the ones we talked about, some of the ones we didn't, like reading. We talked about music. So reading, music, meditating, yoga, journaling, exercising, petting an animal if you have a pet, all that can help. But sometimes we still struggle. So we've talked about a lot of what we should do. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we shouldn't do, because sometimes there is the misconception that certain things will help and they actually don't. So using substances, we hear it all the time. What a day, I need a drink. What a day, I can't wait to do blah, blah, blah. Okay. However, that's not going to help us cope. It actually can make our problems much worse. And I say that because if I spill something, right, and I just throw like a towel or something over it. So I've got this spill, right? I throw something over it. That spill underneath is not going to get any better. It's not getting cleaned up, okay? It's going to get worse. It's going to get smelly. It's going to get moldy. It's just not going to work right, okay? But I've covered it. So I've covered it up so no one's seeing it. Very much like when we use substances. Using substances can actually make it harder to handle anxiety. Our bodies get used to coping with the substance, and they struggle without it. So then you're dependent on that substance to make you feel better, which is not what you want. Because once you're dependent on it, it can cause a lot more problems. Okay? So what we need to do is, if I have that spill, I need to clean it up. If I have that anxiety and I put a substance on top of it, it's still there. Okay? We need to deal with that anxiety and get to the root of it and figure out how we can cope with it without substances. But when you talk about substances, Allison, what are you talking about? I'm talking about nicotine, alcohol, pills, legal and illegal drugs, okay? And I get asked all the time, but people get prescriptions for anxiety and depression. Yes, they do. But they go through a doctor to get them, and they are often combined with mental health treatment. They go and talk to a therapist or a counselor about this, and they're monitored with that medication, okay? But that's only in certain cases. Other times we're just going to do counseling, or you're just going to figure out coping mechanisms to deal with it. Okay. So when we talk about kind of substance use, if someone tries to cope with this and they maybe use the wrong method and all of a sudden they can't stop, okay, that's when it can be a substance use disorder or addiction. It is treatable, but it is a chronic medical disease involving the complex circuits of the brain. Okay, there's lots to it. But what we really want to stress here is, just because someone says, oh, I have this medication that's supposed to help anxiety, if it is not your medication, if the doctor didn't give it to you, if it does not have your name on the bottle, we should not be taking it. Because prescription medication is made specifically for that person's makeup, that person's weight, that person's height, okay, that person's gender. All that, okay, is made for that person. So if someone else takes it, it can have very different effects. And oftentimes, these pills might not be what we really think. There are prescription pills that look very similar to one another, okay? And you might not know that you're getting a fake one, okay, because they are so similar. Even police officers aren't sure until they get it back to a lab. They can look identical, and they can have very dangerous chemicals mixed in that can potentially be very harmful and even deadly. So we want to make sure that. Also, because if this prescription might not be, yours, if you're taking somebody else's or someone's offered something to you, it can potentially lead to an overdose, okay? Any kind of misuse, so using someone's that isn't yours. Okay, if you do have a prescription taking more than you're supposed to, someone who's previously overdosed can be more at risk for an overdose. A lowered tolerance, mixing substances, okay? So many prescriptions say do not take with alcohol. And that's for a reason, okay? Because we don't want to have people having these issues. So take a deep breath, because that was a little bit of a lot right there. Did you all take a deep breath? Okay. So coping is what we need to do. Covering is not coping. Covering with that, okay, with a medication that's not yours and not going and talking to someone about it can be very problematic. Okay, so taking something to mask our feelings is not coping, it's for sure covering. Using substances can often lead to more problems and more difficult feelings. So if you are struggling with anxiety, with depression, with any kind of mental health problem or condition, go talk to someone. It doesn't have to be, maybe you're scared to go to counseling. Okay? It's okay. You don't have to jump right into that. Talking to a friend, talking to a parent, talking to a counselor at school, talking to any kind of adult that you trust, okay, can be very important. And making sure that we're not turning to a vape or alcohol or any other substance that could potentially lead us to more problems. Because if you do turn to those things, you're underage for anything that's legal. Anything that's illegal is illegal. Okay, so if you get in trouble, that's just going to add to your stress and anxiety. And we really don't want that. We want you guys to live happy, healthy lives. We want to make sure that you can handle the stress and anxiety that's going on right now. So if you feel you need more information, if any of this sparked a concern, if maybe you know people that are coping in a not great way, or they're covering rather than coping, please reach out to a teacher, a parent, or a trusted adult. Your teachers will probably all know how to get a hold of me or anyone in my office that can help you with this. Most of the schools have a mental health counselor you can talk to, or even a substance use counselor if you realize, yeah, I'm using something to cover rather than to cope. Okay, we can help. There are people to help you. You're not alone in this fight. Okay, other people are dealing with very similar issues. And there is people out there that are willing and able to help you. Okay? All right, take another deep breath because that was kind of a lot. But just know that it will get better. Okay? There's ways to handle your anxiety. There's ways to handle your stress. And keep trying these coping mechanisms till you find the right one. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I will see you in our next RAPS video.